Imagine waking up in the middle of the night. Silence, darkness, but then an almost imperceptible rustle at the window. You turn your head and spot a figure deep in the shadows of the room. Long limbs, curved like blades. A head slightly tilted to the side. Huge, gleaming eyes reflecting the dim glow of a nightlight. For a moment, it seems like a giant praying mantis, but it's standing upright, on two legs, like a human. This scene could be nothing more than a flight of imagination, yet stories about so-called insectoids or mantids, creatures uncannily resembling Earth's praying mantises, are told by people all over the world. According to their accounts, encounters happen suddenly, often in altered states of consciousness, and almost always, they come with the uncanny sense that the uninvited guest is speaking without words. The image of insect-like extraterrestrials is hardly new. Its roots can be traced back to ancient cultures. Among certain African tribes, the praying mantis was revered as a guide between worlds. In the myths of the Kalahari Bushmen, the mantis is a deity able to change shape, vanish, and reappear where least expected. In Asia, it was seen as a keeper of secrets in China, as a symbol of endurance and the hunt. In the 20th century, however, the myth took on new life. Researchers of anomalous phenomena began documenting eyewitness reports from people claiming to have seen humanoid beings with the head and physique of a giant praying mantis. They were sometimes described as over 2 meters tall, with slender bodies, long arms, and enormous compound eyes. Before diving into the fantastic, it's worth taking a look at the original found in Earth's nature. Praying mantises belong to the order Mantidae, known for their distinctive stance and lightning-fast strikes. Their front legs are true biological weapons, lined with spines for seizing prey. Some species are so quick that they can snatch not only insects, but also small lizards or even birds. A mantis's eyes are another marvel. Two enormous compound lenses give them an extraordinary field of view nearly 360 degrees, and their ability to rotate the head 180 degrees makes them nature's spies. If a hypothetical insectoid possessed such visual abilities, it could observe the world in minute detail from almost every angle. Telepathic communication myth or technology. The most intriguing part of mantid encounters is their alleged telepathic ability. Witnesses often claim they heard no words, yet clearly understood the creature's thoughts. From a scientific standpoint, telepathy in its usual sense remains unproven. However, nature offers parallels. Some insects and animals transmit information through chemical signals or vibrations. Now imagine an advanced civilization harnessing bioelectric impulses for direct thought exchange. Suddenly, the feeling that someone is speaking into your mind no longer seems purely fictional. If the witnesses are to be believed, mantids do more than merely watch humans. They conduct experiments with them, though not always of a physical nature. More often, it's about studying emotions, memories, and even future intentions, which raises a question. What if the purpose of such encounters is not control, but gathering data to understand the very nature of humanity? In the archives of ufological organizations, one can find dozens of testimonies from people claiming to have encountered beings resembling giant praying mantises. These accounts often sound eerily similar, as if describing a recurring scenario. The case in an English village one night in the late 1990s. A woman from a small village in southern England awoke with an odd sense of unease. She described it as a foreign presence in the room. Opening her eyes, she saw a figure standing beside her bed, a slender being, about 2.5 meters tall, with long limbs curved like sickles and a head resembling the helmet of an ancient warrior. It stood there, slightly leaning forward, and, according to the witness, was studying her with its gaze. There was no sound, no words, yet she distinctly understood that the stranger wanted her not to move. After a few seconds, the being stepped back and vanished, as if dissolving into the air. The woman was convinced the contact had been mental, and she could sense the creature's emotions, curiosity, and a trace of regret. A story from the USA in the mid-2000s, A man from the state of Colorado reported that he had seen a strange light outside his window in a dream. Upon waking, he noticed a silhouette standing in the corner of his room. The description was almost identical: tall, thin, with enormous eyes and arms resembling a mantis's forelimbs. The man claimed he felt a question in his mind, "Are you ready to see more?" and then lost consciousness. He awoke at dawn, lying on the floor, with no light and no silhouette outside his window. Remarkably, such stories appear on different continents and in different decades, yet share strikingly similar details: height, build, unusual head shape, and a complete absence of spoken communication. If somewhere in the universe the conditions for life were similar to those on Earth, evolution might have produced beings resembling our insects, but with intelligence equal to or surpassing that of humans. Over millions of years, their biology could have advanced toward a humanoid form, while retaining the key traits of a predator. Some researchers speculate that mantids could be the product of bioengineering artificially created by someone as scouts or scientists to collect data on other worlds. Some believe that mantid imagery may be a projection of the human subconscious. The shape of a praying mantis evokes an ancient predator's fear in humans. Perhaps these visions are the result of targeted brain influence, triggering vivid visual hallucinations designed to evoke specific emotions. Curiously, in many accounts, mantids never open their mouths, yet their messages are understood. Modern science knows that the human brain generates electromagnetic oscillations. If someone could detect and decode these signals, wordless communication would become possible. Perhaps mantids rely on this method as their primary means. It is instantaneous and independent of language. If witnesses are to be believed, mantids often show not aggression, but rather a cold, scientific curiosity. But what if their observations are part of a long-term plan? Not for invasion, but for something we are not yet capable of understanding. To understand who these enigmatic mantids might be, it's worth starting with a simple question. What do we know about real praying mantises? And how much of their abilities could be transferred to a hypothetical extraterrestrial civilization? A common praying mantis on Earth can strike in just to 10,000ths of a second faster than a human can blink. Now imagine an intelligent being with that kind of reaction speed. It could anticipate and deflect attacks, evade danger, and operate in conditions where a human would be utterly helpless. In insect research laboratories, unique data has been recorded. The mantis's visual system is designed not only to detect an object, but to instantly calculate its trajectory. In the hands of a hypothetical insectoid, this ability would be an invaluable tool for reconnaissance and survival. A mantis's compound eyes consist of thousands of tiny lenses, each capturing a fragment of the scene. The insect's brain merges these fragments into a single panoramic image, scaled up to the level of an intelligent being. This could allow simultaneous vision in multiple spectra: infrared, ultraviolet, and visible light. Darkness or fog would pose no obstacle. Let's examine a telepathy hypothesis through the lens of biology. Some scientists suggest that the human brain emits faint electromagnetic waves that could be detected by highly sensitive organs. On Earth, the closest parallel is the electroreceptors of sharks, which can sense the bioelectric currents of living organisms. If mantids are a real biological species, perhaps their sensory organs include bioantennas capable of picking up brain activity. To us, this would appear indistinguishable from mind reading. In nature, form is often dictated by function. An elongated body and powerful forelimbs allow for quick prey capture, while a flexible neck enables instant changes in the field of view. Mantids may have retained this form not by evolutionary accident, but because it is perfectly suited to their lifestyle. Reconnaissance and observation, the ability to remain still and blend into the environment. Rapid attack or defense, lightning-fast reaction times. High field of view, situational awareness covering nearly 360 degrees. If they are here, some researchers propose that mantids are not a popular species, but a rare officer caste within the hierarchy of other extraterrestrial forms. In this theory, they do not engage in direct contact with large groups of humans, but act selectively, serving as curators or coordinators. Their role would be to gather data, analyze it, and pass it somewhere further up. In many witness accounts, there is a recurring detail. Just before an encounter, people experience a sudden shift in their perception of time. Clocks seem to stop, sounds fade, and everything around them takes on crystal clear definition. This state is described as slowed reality. In science, this could be compared to a change in brainwave frequency, similar to a deep trance. If mantids truly have the ability to induce such a state, they could completely control a person's perception for the duration of the contact. A close look at the myths of different cultures reveals a striking recurrence of the image of a tall being with the head of an insect. In the rock art of Australian Aboriginal peoples, there are figures with large eyes and elongated faces, reminiscent of the triangular head of a praying mantis. In South America, archaeologists have uncovered clay figurines in which a human body is joined with an insect's head, with symbols engraved on the chest resembling antennae. In ancient Egypt, there was a cult of a deity with the head of an insect officially regarded as a symbol of rebirth and transformation. Yet some researchers claim it may also have been a hint at something more, a memory of real visitors who once came to Earth. Supporters of this idea believe that mantids entered human history thousands of years ago. They allegedly came not as conquerors, but as observers and teachers. The legends of the Maya and the Dogon, the oral traditions of the Hopi, and the myths of African Bushmen all speak of teachers who could move between worlds and impart knowledge without words. Their physical descriptions often bear an eerie resemblance to the silhouette of a giant praying mantis. Another theory suggests that mantids may not be a separate species at all, but the result of complex DNA manipulation blending traits of Earth's insects with those of humanoids. Why might this have been done? Theorists propose that combining predatory reflexes, advanced intelligence, and specialized sensory organs could produce the perfect scout or scientist for missions across the universe. Intriguingly, some witnesses to mantid encounters describe distinctive markings on their bodies' patterns that seem natural yet are too symmetrical to be the product of random evolution. This raises the possibility of a designed origin. There is also a skeptical viewpoint. Some psychologists argue that mantid imagery could be the product of altered states of consciousness, such as during sleep paralysis. In such moments, the human brain can generate vivid, realistic visions, often tinged with fear. Yet this explanation still leaves one key question unanswered. Why do hundreds of people across different countries and different decades see the exact same being with the same physical details? The most unsettling hypothesis is this: mantids may be living alongside humanity right now. They do not intervene directly in our lives, but watch, study, and occasionally make contact. Their mission could be long-term and completely beyond our understanding. If this is true, then every person who claims to have met a mantid may be part of a vast mosaic, a fragment of a study that has been ongoing for centuries. We have traveled from the myths of ancient tribes to modern eyewitness accounts. We have explored the biology of the praying mantis and imagined how it might evolve into an extraterrestrial life form. We have touched on telepathy, genetic experiments, and theories of ancient contact. And now, the central question arises: what is their true purpose? Theory 1. Guardians of knowledge. Proponents of this idea believe that mantids are an ancient race that watches over the development of civilizations, intervening only in critical moments. Their mission is to preserve balance, preventing the self-destruction of intelligent species. If true, they may act as watchers, recording the history of humanity. Theory 2. Researchers in this version, mantids function as scientists, studying not just human biology, but our thinking, emotions, and collective consciousness. They are interested less in technology and more in the inner world of humanity. Perhaps they are searching for something in us that they themselves do not possess. Theory 3. Preparation for something greater, a more unsettling perspective suggests that mantids may be part of a reconnaissance program designed to prepare the ground for future events. What those events might be is unknown. They could be positive or not. In any case, such visits could be seen as a stage in a larger, still hidden process. In recent decades, the number of reported encounters with mantids has grown. Some attribute this to advances in observation technology, others to a greater public openness toward anomalous phenomena. But there is also a third possibility. If their goal is to monitor humanity, then the rise in contact could mean we have reached a pivotal point in our history. Imagine that right now, as you listen to this account, somewhere nearby on the next street, in another apartment, or even in the room next to you, someone is watching. They do not move. They do not breathe as we do, and they make no sound. They simply watch. And if one night you wake to see a silhouette, head tilted slightly to the side, with enormous gleaming eyes, remember this story and ask yourself, why is it here? We can debate whether mantids are a myth, a psychological phenomenon, or a real extraterrestrial life form. But until we have undeniable proof, the question will remain open. And perhaps the truth is already close, only we have not yet learned how to recognize it.